Well, hello and welcome. Yes, I didn't make it yesterday, but that's okay. I actually fell asleep. So I hope you're all doing well. I've got a lot of stuff that we need to catch up on from last night. There's so much that's happened. Yeah, everything from the Prime Minister walking out of question time yesterday because he didn't want to answer the question. We've got, lots of different stuff to talk about. So I hope you're all well. So hello, Christine. How are you? And I noticed that our friend has just still been all over social media again. So I don't know what's going on there. I've got 1,000,001 tabs open at the moment as well. It's really, don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah. Hello, Graham. How are you? You're wellish, Cal? I'm just tired. The long days on Zoom sort of tire you out a little bit. I know, first world problem. I know, first world problem. Hello, Rufus Disturbed. How are you? So the Friendlyjordies update is essentially what I updated this afternoon. But we are going to. No, I haven't. I need to write that down and look at it. When I was talking to you on a Twitter Messenger, Will, I was actually in my class. I was in my class and I had to actually pretend that I was actually paying attention, but message you at the same time. So there you go. I can multitask. Hello, Kim. So I want to just take the time now and go through the Friendlyjordies stuff. I sort of rushed it when I did it. I'd never done a voiceover before, and so let's just go back and have a look at what's happened here. So we know that on the 13th of August, they had the case, and there was a judgment handed down as well. And there was some orders that were made. So we know that they're coming back. There's an interlocutory hearing on the 31st of August. And then they've set a case management hearing for the for the 15th of October at 9:30. So here's what the orders state. So this was from Justice Rares on the 13th. So it says that the respondents serve and file their defences by 4 p.m. the 25th of August, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow by 4 p.m., both Google and Jordan Shanks's defences will have to be in court. The respondents file and serve any evidence in support of the interlocutory application for trial by jury on or before 4 p.m. the 23rd of August, 2021. So that had to have been filed Monday. In fact, we'll check the file to see whether it was there. The applicant file and serve any evidence in relation to the application for the trial by jury on or before the 26th of August. So on Thursday, let me just take this back again. Google and Shanks have to file their defences by tomorrow. Google and Shanks had to file their evidence for trial by jury. Bruz has to do his his documentation by the 26th of August. So that's Thursday. So Then by Friday, Google and Shanks have to file their submissions, limited to 5 pages of all their submissions for trial by jury. Bruz on Monday has to serve his documentation before midday on Monday. The applicant file and serve any replies by 4 p.m. Monday. So Bruz so they're doing any replies. The application for trial by jury be listed for hearing at 9:30 on Tuesday morning. So it's a very tight turnaround for all the lawyers. Then each party serve outlines of evidence of witnesses on issues on which he or she bears the onus on before 4 p.m. the 24th of September. Yes, I did. I'm going to discuss that one, the Fox. Each party serve outlines of evidence of witnesses in reply on or before 4 p.m. the 14th of October. The matter be listed for case management on the 15th and liberty to apply 3 days notice. So the court can apply 3 days notice to any of those. So that's what's happening. So let's see if there's any documents in the court at the moment. Documents filed. So we've got an affidavit here. Jordan has filed an affidavit on the 23rd of August. So that's the only thing in at the court at the moment. Well, that's listed in at the court. All right. So that's what's happening with that. So this, look at all the documents filed so far. So all the defense stuff needs to be in by tomorrow. So we should see this take off again over the next few days by Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m. This on the 31st is purely dealing with the issue of trial by the jury trial, which is something that is very unusual in a federal civil case. And then they've got the case management hearing for the rest of it. So that's everything on Shanks. Now, while we're on this topic, something appeared in my Twitter feed, and it's Bruz. Look at this. This big picture of Bruz appeared in my feed, and this is the heading. New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro says he's working through a whole heap of options to reward inoculated residents after the state hit a vaccine milestone. So it says New South Wales Premier says he's working through a whole heap of options. Anyway, this person is very, very cheeky. Hello, Andrew. This person here says, oh, he has time to think about the state. I thought all of his time was on his defamation case, which is in court next week. Gee whiz. Then someone says, can Bruz Barilaro also look at some options with regard to his teenage beard? You're going to put a harness on them and let them walk around the block? Ludicrous 18 months ago, we could come and go as we pleased, work, enjoy our lives. Now we have elected officials telling us what we can and can't do. What is wrong with this picture? Including $300, the one thing guaranteed to work for those that need both cash and vaccination the most and boost the economy. Someone says a free week at his B&B down the south coast would be nice. It's a mansion, so plenty of room. Someone else says your resignation will do me. He won't send the terrorist police after you. Thanks, Bruz. So everyone's getting in. So here's the article. Now this is Sky News. But he seems to like talking to Sky News. So this says here, so he's working on a whole heap of options. So Premier Gladys Berejiklian previously flagged she would like the state to hit 6 million vaccinations by the end of August. Well, they should, considering they're getting them all, with a promise to return to some degree of freedoms as a reward. The state has officially surpassed the benchmark on Tuesday with 6 million jabs administered as of 8 p.m. on Monday. Ms. Berejiklian said she was pleased with and grateful that people will continue to roll up their sleeves for jabs. I look forward to making the announcement on Thursday or Friday this week as to what fully vaccinated people will be able to do from the month of September because of the target we have set. Mr. Barilaro told Sky News Australia that he'd been tasked with the job of determining what freedoms can be given to the people of New South Wales as a result of passing the significant milestone. The Premier has once again been very clear about this 6 million jabs. She wants to see if there's something that we can return to keep people's high hopes and spirits high. Deputy Premier said he'd been working with the Chief Health Officer, Dr. Kerry Chant, and the state's Chief Psychiatrist, Dr. Mary Wright, to work through the possible message. We're weighing up heaps of options. You've got to go weigh up the wellbeing measure, the benefit, but then the risk. There are one or two things I think the Premier has been keen on trying to support the public and give them hope through September to make them feel better and aim for 70% in October. While New South Wales set a goal of 6 million jabs, the state will still follow National Cabinet guidelines and move through the pathway out of COVID once it hits the designated vaccine thresholds. National Cabinet, on the advice of Doherty Institute, sent a benchmark vaccination rate of 70% of the eligible population to move past the suppression phase into phase B. At 80% target was set for phase C. At the time, lockdowns would be used as a final result with a targeted focus. Yes, Andrew, that is correct. Someone who sends counter-terrorism unit to arrest the journalists in charge of freedoms. I'm sorry, did I hear that correctly? Yes, you did, which is why I actually thought it was funny. And, of course, that exclusive went to Sky News. The Premier is not going to listen to medical experts. I would be very surprised if she listened to medical experts. Why would she start now? Why would she start listening to them now? But he's not received a lot of love on his Facebook page. So as I said, I'm surprised with the fact he's got to deal with his lawyer. Yeah, I mean, it is Sky News, though. But New South Wales has never, ever, ever, ever wanted to do a lockdown. Well, the thing is that he only talks to Sky News because he'll only talk to them. So, oh, really? If you need a filler, Swollen Pickles. Oh, okay, I will do. I liked watching Swollen Pickles. I'll have a look. Hey, plan to create. So that is that. Here's something totally unrelated. I found it a bit humorous. So there's this the Perth Wildcats, the basketball team, have got a new coach from the US. Hello, Jenna. And his name is Scott Morrison. I kid you not. His name is Scott Morrison. Perth Wildcats coach Scott Morrison reveals he's copped Twitter abuse directed at Scomo. New Perth Wildcats coach Scott Morrison has declared he will wait until the team has finalised its roster before deciding on the game plan for next season, saying he has experience with multiple styles of play. Morrison today signed a 3-year deal to replace 5-time championship Trevor Cleason. Having spent the last 4 seasons as assistant coach in the NBA at the Boston Celtics, Morrison was keen to return to head coaching after previously leading teams, the NBA, G League at the college level. The Wildcats dominated the league with a defensive focus under Gleason, but Morrison said it was too early to decide what style the fans would be watching when the season begins in November. It depends on the personnel, what type of system will play both sides of the ball. I really don't have a certain system I'm married to. I believe in multiple systems are effective, especially if guys believe in it. That's probably the important thing. Where I try to steer the team anyway, but Morrison, but I just find it funny. His name's Scott Morrison. He said working under ex-Celtics coach Brad Stevens taught him how to remain calm under intense pressure. He joked that having the same name as the Australian Prime Minister may assist with his entry to Australia. The Wildcats hope Morrison will be able to enter Australia, complete his quarantine, and be on court with the team by the end of September. But his wife, Suzanne, is due to give birth to their second child this week, proving another obstacle for them to work out. Morrison said being Australia's next Scomo suited him fine. I haven't checked the polls, but I'm sure I'm trending pretty good right now because we haven't lost any games. Over the years, it's been funny to get a lot of people hitting me up on Twitter, cursing me, complaining about me, and I'd been asleep for the last 10 hours, so I wasn't sure what they were upset about. It hit home a little more when this job came up and we started talking. I think if the shoe was on the other foot and my favourite Canadian team hired Justin Trudeau to coach the team, I think I'd get a kick out of it. I don't blame anyone for laughing. I hope my spot on the top of the Scott Morrison polls is the same at the end of the season as it is right now. So his name is Scott Morrison. Scomo. So anyway, that's the new coach of the Perth Wildcats. He may not get. I don't know if the Hillsong has a Perth campus because he's moving to WA. He might end up at Margaret Court's church because she's in WA. I don't know, but I just thought that was a really funny story. Imagine having the same name as the Prime Minister. Oh, dear me. Whoopee. So, while we're talking about, let's talk about Barnaby. Oh, you want a picture? Let me find. Oh, so he's actually Canadian. He's actually a Canadian. Here he is. So this is Sydney Morning Herald. Oops, of course they're going to make me pay, aren't they? Let me go back. You wish you were in WA now? Here he is. Perth Wildcats appoint Canadian Scott Morrison as the new head coach for the upcoming NBL season. So there he is. Scott Morrison is joining NBL's most successful club. Western Australia. So there he is. Oh, that's Trevor Gleason. That's the previous coach. Morrison ticks all the right boxes. Well, let me tell you, he may end up. I wonder whether people will listen to him. So there he is. Okay, so he was at the Celtics. Yeah, they go. Oh, really? My God. So I was going to now talk about Barnaby. I don't know when anyone saw his performance in Parliament the other day. For those of you overseas, he's our Deputy Prime Minister. He's not. Oopsies. He'll be the most popular Scott Morrison. I know he will be, won't he? So Barnaby Joyce denies Bali bombing blunder. So in Parliament the other day, he declared the Bali bombing that killed 88 Australians was one of the reasons why we invaded Afghanistan. Despite the fact we'd already been in Afghanistan for a year. He said from Alexander the Great in 330 BC to the engagement by the Soviet forces in 1979 through to 2001 that Afghanistan had been a moth to the flame of nefarious and evil purposes. The first question has to be, why did we get involved? We got involved because of the fact a terrorist organization drove 2 planes into the World Trade Center, he said. We got involved because of the terrorist organization plane into the Pentagon. But the Deputy Prime Minister then turned to the Bali bombings that killed more than 200 people, among them 88 Australians in October 2002. We got involved because of the actions of terrorists at the Sari nightclub, Mr. Joyce said in Parliament. The Sari nightclub where 88 Australians were murdered. So when he was caught out on it, of course, he denied it. So it's like, so it's really quite offensive, I feel, that he doesn't even know what's going on. So the Bali bombing was in 2002, and we know when September 11 was. Is this, see that I can't find video footage of it, so I would like to see it, but How embarrassing is that? Your Deputy Prime Minister messing up stuff like that. Mr. Joyce also referenced the Marriott bombing that occurred in August 2003, almost 3 years after coalition forces invaded Afghanistan. We got involved because of the bombings at the embassy in Jakarta. Contacted by news.com.au, Mr. Joyce said that he was well aware of the timeline, but he was making a general point about extremist groups, links to Afghanistan, and the threat of terrorism. What? So he was saying that it was a general comment. It wasn't a specific comment. But if we've already been in Afghanistan for 12 months, we've been in Afghanistan for 12 months before the Bali bombings. Staying in Afghanistan had nothing to do with the Bali bombings. Idiot. All right. I'd love them to be accountable for things we say. So this is an article from the Pedestrian TV, Pedestrian. And apparently someone swore at the Prime Minister. Someone yelled at the Prime Minister because he couldn't handle question time and just ran off. A Labor member just straight out yelled at the Prime Minister Morrison today because he was not able to handle the heat. He ended question time and literally ran off. So this was yesterday. Yesterday, he literally ran off. In a press conference in Canberra Monday, Scott Morrison said lockdowns aren't sustainable and Aussies should be prepared to come out of them when the country reaches 70 to 80%. The thing is, though, the model based off earlier case numbers, which were in their 30s. New South Wales case numbers are a little higher than that, with the last 3 days seeing cases in the 800s. So now people are obviously a little hesitant at the idea of easing restrictions, considering the COVID situation in some places is still dire. Morrison, however, is adamant that we have to learn to live with the virus instead of fear of it. In June, the Prime Minister congratulated the New South Wales Premier for not going into lockdown. In July, he said the lockdown was necessary. In August, he pushed again for New South Wales to lock harder. Today, he switched again and saying lockdowns must end. So this is Albo. This is the deputy, this is the leader of the opposition.
In June, the Prime Minister congratulated the New South Wales Premier for not going into lockdown. In July, he said lockdowns were a necessary tool. In August, he pushed New South Wales to lock down harder and also said for the lockdown to work, the lockdown must work. Again, saying lockdown must end. When the Prime Minister's story changes so often, how can Australians have confidence going forward?
That was his question. He claimed that the federal government had received advice from the Doherty Institute over the weekend, confirming the change in case numbers doesn't affect the model results. As we were advised, the starting point does not influence the overall conclusions. Now, when he was asked for evidence of this, he said it was a secret meeting. It says Scott Morrison, who has been vaccinated for 5 months, has the audacity to stand up and lecture the population about opening up and living with COVID when he has catastrophically failed one of the key pandemic responses, procuring and rolling out vaccines. As it turns out, the new advice that the model's findings still stand regardless of case numbers is news to Labor leader Anthony Albanese, who demanded Scott Morrison table the document because Australians deserve to see the advice. I asked that the Prime Minister table the advice he was quoting from. The Prime Minister is now saying there's no updated advice, where previously he said that there was. Morrison said he couldn't because the advice was apparently from a confidential document, then changed and said that all the Doherty advice otherwise was public. So Morrison said he had updated advice from Doherty, then when pressed to share the details, scurries to the Doherty plan was released in full. After more questions from Albanese as to why he would quote a confidential report if, it's confidential, Morrison accused him of undermining Aussies who want to get out of lockdown. Like a toddler throwing a tanty, the PM decided to end question time 30 minutes early and storm off before anyone could interrogate him. And of course, a Labor Polly screamed BS at the PM as he scurried off because this wouldn't be Australian politics with a bit of friendly cussing. You can check out, they call it Scozit in the video below. Here we go. Watch this.
The Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I ask that further questions be placed on the notice plate. The member for Bruz. The Leader of the Opposition on a point of order can't be on relevance because question time's over, so I'll do it on indulgence.
I seek your indulgence about it, and it goes to the running of the Parliament. Today, the government offered us a full question time today. That was supposed to occur, and our question time has been shut down because this Prime Minister's under pressure. The fact is, members on both sides.
There you go.
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I ask that further questions be placed.
So there you go. You ran away. Don't run away, Lorraine. Hello, short order cook. Hello, Keno. So, of course, it's not a loss upon the Aussie public what a load of this is. The question time was supposed to be 1.15 hours, and it was cut down to 45 minutes. Under pressure in question time, Scott Morrison literally just shut question time. You'd think after the Hawaii situation, Morrison would be more careful not to look like a coward, running off with his tail between his legs, but apparently not. So this is not the kind of consistency we were hoping for. Member for Bruz. I can't think of who the member for Bruz is. Yes, so that's our Prime Minister. We were missing. Oh, dear me. Every time I hear under the Prime Minister's under pressure, I hear da 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 da. Under pressure. Actually, I need to take that clip and put that song to it. Yours. Oh, look, they're actually well behaved, Laura. That's a well behaved. They're not always like that. But yeah, it's so there's a lot of really concerned people, and the New South Wales Premier is actually, I'm just going to pull up Julian Hill because he has another good one today. I don't know if you saw today's one. Oh yeah, yeah, here you go. This is...
Under pressure, he got tetchy, he got grumpy, and he slopped. How long will that?
All right, so this is Julian Hill. Apparently it was Scott Morrison's anniversary in Parliament today. So have a watch of this. I did like this.
How long will the Prime Minister last in question time today, Deputy Speaker? Yesterday, under pressure, he got tetchy, he got grumpy, and he shut down question time. That little tanty. And he was first out the door, he ran away. When this Prime Minister is under pressure, when the going gets tough, the Prime Minister gets going. But today, Deputy Speaker, it's his special day. It's his 3rd anniversary of knifing his mate Malcolm Turnbull. He's a cunning politician. He climbed to the top of this 8-year-old government. I'm ambitious for him, he said with his arm around his mate. I've got no ambition to lead. Well, that turned out to be true, didn't it? 3 years we've had to see the character of this bloke over there. His blame shifting, his incompetence, his refusal to take responsibility, always too little too late. We've seen it with the pandemic. The first line of defence is quarantine. He failed on that. The second line of defence, enough vaccines. He's failed on that. And so Australians are locked down, they're locked in, and they're locked out because of this bloke over there. But the pattern is clear. We saw it on bushfires, Hawaii, he doesn't hold a hose, Afghanistan now with tragic consequences. It's not a shiny new government. This bloke bought your robo-debt, the aged care cuts, $1 trillion of Liberal debt with nothing to show for it, falling wages, the COVID Safe App, corruption, frauds and waste. We've had 8 years of this and we can't risk another 3 of this nasty, shallow, superficial bully. He's a fake.
So there you go. And he's look at him sitting there. Look at the look on his face. Must have been just before question time. He does idolize Trump, Will. That when Biden actually when Biden got in, he got criticized for not congratulating Biden. It took him a while to. He actually had to public pressure. So yes, he idolizes Trump. He really does idolize Trump. So he's Trump. Sounds like if he does, doesn't he? He's Trump Jr. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. But yeah. So Biden wouldn't know who he was. No. Wasn't it, or was it Turnbull that Trump criticized? Who was it that Trump was talking about? Was it Turnbull or was it Morrison? So you call him Bugle, like a small trumpet. Oh, really? Trumpet? Yeah, well, we don't have, I don't know that he's got, don't think there's, yeah, I don't know. He just spits the dummy. Oh, well, you should order cookie. I was going to do that. But if you don't mind doing that, I can't, because there was something about the fact that Trump didn't like the prime, or said something about the prime minister. So, yeah. So let's just change it a little bit, and let's look at Afghanistan, because it's heartbreaking again. And Australia's more. So this is, so this is from this. Taliban could close Kabul airport if allies delay exit, says Wallace. So the UK Defence Secretary says extending Afghan rescue operation into September is unlikely. So the UK Defence Secretary has said that Ben Wallace is starting to, yeah. So has said that the Taliban could use armed force to close Kabul airport if the US and its allies try to extend the August 31 deadline for the evacuation from Afghanistan. Speaking a few hours before the start of the virtual G7 Leaders Summit, chaired by Johnson, Wallace confirmed Britain would still like the deadline to be extended to allow more time for British nationals and Afghans who worked with the military during the 20 years to be flown out. But in a series of media interviews, Wallace said extending the rescue operation into September was unlikely because of Joe Biden's desire to stick to the August 31 deadline and the Taliban's strong opposition to revising the timetable. Interview with BBC4, Wallace would not confirm that Johnson would use the summit to formally ask Biden for an extension. It is appalling, isn't it? He said the two powers with the biggest vote in the room would be the US and the Taliban, who are not attending G7. Who are not attending some. So the Taliban had already said an extension would lead to consequences and that they could make life extremely difficult for the West. He added that the consequences would range, no doubt, from preventing people getting to the airport all the way through the military. You are worse than I am, Trump told Turnbull. Well, I wonder what he said to Morrison. So the consequences would no doubt be preventing people from getting to the airport. That's why our focus is to get as many people out every hour. That's why they've got to fill up the planes from any country, from the allies, with people. So the Commons Foreign Affairs chairman said Johnson should ask Biden to extend the evacuation deadline. He said many families were struggling to get through the gate, so they could be flown out. A day or two may help. The overnight briefing from Downing Street about Johnson's goals for G7 made no mention of the Prime Minister asking the President to extend the deadline. Instead, it suggested the meeting would focus on long-term efforts to help the people of Afghanistan to reduce any threat posed by the new Taliban administration running the country. No, Wallace said that on Tuesday morning about 8,600 people had been evacuated from Afghanistan in the past fortnight and more than 2,000 people in the last 24 hours. But he said as the deadline approached, the situation at the airport could get more dangerous. As we get closer to the deadline, I think it's correct to say the security risk goes up. It gets more and more dangerous as add-on groups and other terrorist groups such as IS would like to be seen to take greater credit or would like to be seen to chase the West out of the airport. That isn't inevitably going to feed their narrative and their ambitions. We are very mindful that we are very, very vulnerable and should these terrorists choose to do something. So Wallace played down the significance of revelation that an individual initially flagged as a potential threat was among the Afghans already flown to the UK. The watch list or the no-fly list pinged and the individual was identified. So that is a plus side that it worked. What? They've got somebody that's flagged and he's going, oh, the plus side is we found him. I wouldn't be alarmed as some of the media headlines are about this individual, and I'd like to take some comfort from the process is working and flagging people. Where's he going then? He also defended his decision not to prioritise helping a former British soldier who had been running an animal rescue charity in Afghanistan, and who's trying to evacuate the charity's dogs and cats. Wallace said the government was trying to help the charity staff, but added, as for the animals, it's not going to be the case, that I will prioritise them over men, women, and children we see desperate need at the game. So someone's been flagged as an initial potential threat and they've been flown to the UK. Well, that's great. And his response was, oh, the pings work. Oh, dear. So this is a live blog that the Guardian's been running. So, oh, really? The Lambda variant? Wow. That's supposed to be worse than the Delta. Now, I noticed I was reading something today about the Northern Territory had said that the variant strain that they had in Northern Territory was not one not one that's been in Australia before and had come out of the US. I wonder whether he had that. So here is the latest. So 17 minutes ago, the EU had evacuated staff and families from Afghanistan, apart from some officials working at Kabul airport. All the staff who needed to be evacuated have been evacuated. We still have a core presence at the airport in order to manage what needs to be managed, but the staff of the EU delegations and their families have been evacuated. Well, get your own out. It's funny that the EU have managed to get all of their people out, but not everybody else. Why am I so cynical here? So head of the G7 says Joe Biden is under pressure to keep the airport evacuation open a few days longer. We'll face questions how to prevent Afghanistan becoming a base for terrorism. Boris Johnson will seek an extension from Biden, but accepts the airlift ends when US forces leave. France is likely to set conditions on international recognition of the Taliban. Italy backs a deadline extension, but like France, feels past weeks must mark a turning point for EU defence. Germany has been offering cash to persuade Afghanistan's neighbouring countries to take in refugees, and he's talking to the Taliban about opening land routes. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has not joined the criticism of Biden's handling of the issue and has pledged to take 21,000 refugees. Toko fears the withdrawal reflects a growing US isolationism. Interesting, isn't it? How all the informed, cynical, oh dear. So that's interesting how, and it's fun. I know that Australia's not in the, I don't think we're in the G7. I don't even think we get it, but it's very interesting to hear how the other countries are going. CIA Director William Burns held a secret meeting with the Taliban on Monday, according to reports in the Washington Post. This is the highest level diplomatic encounter since the Taliban seized control of Kabul and comes ahead of G7 discussions over whether to recognise the militant group, as well as pressure on the US to extend its withdrawal deadline. So that's interesting, isn't it? That the CIA director was negotiating with the Taliban. So Airbnb has said it will begin offering temporary housing to 20,000 Afghan refugees around the world for free. The company's CEO said the decision was taken in response to one of the biggest humanitarian crises of our time, and the firm felt a responsibility to step up, and he hopes that this inspires other business leaders to do the same. There's no time to waste. The statement did not say how long it would last for. A Ukrainian minister has claimed a passenger jet meant to evacuate people fleeing Afghanistan to Ukraine was hijacked at gunpoint and flown instead to Iran in an unconfirmed incident, which was later denied by his government. Wow. Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the situation in Afghanistan in a phone call with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday, and the Kremlin said in a statement, the leaders agreed to establish a permanent channel for bilateral consultations on Afghan developments. So there's an analysis. So China, Pakistan, and Russia set to increase Afghanistan influence. The World Health Organization has only enough supplies in Afghanistan to last a week. China's ambassador to the UN has called for the US Army and its military partners to be held accountable for alleged rights violations in Afghanistan. It's quite interesting that China's talking about human rights violations. I mean, come on. Really? Speaking in an emergency session of the Human Rights Council on Afghanistan, said the US, UK, Australia, and other countries must be held accountable for the violation of human rights committed by their military in Afghanistan and the evolution of this current session that should cover this issue. Under the banner of democracy and human rights, the US and other countries carry out military interventions in other sovereign states and impose their own model on countries with vastly different history and culture, he said. China telling us about human rights? Really? Right. Pakistan Foreign Minister has called for an inclusive political settlement with the Taliban, describing it as the best way forward for peace and stability. According to the Foreign Ministry statement, made the remarks in a phone call with his Russian counterpart about Afghanistan. Qureshi told Lavrov that a peaceful and stable Afghanistan was critical of importance for Pakistan and the region. It said Qureshi informed Lavrov about Pakistan's outreach to regional countries for consultations on the challenges arising out of the developments of Afghanistan. So Pakistan's facilitating the evacuations of foreigners stranded in Afghanistan. Maybe China's been listening to Bruz. I know. It's now there's a new update. So this updates whenever there's something. Okay. So this is 42 seconds ago. This is the report about apparently it says, well, the CIA declined to comment on the Taliban meeting. Reports speculate that it was likely they were discussing the impending 31st of August deadline. The meeting took place as the UN's top human rights official described credible reports of serious human rights violation committed by the Taliban in Afghanistan, including summary executions of civilians, restrictions on women, and limitations on protests against the rule. So it sounds like that it's not good in there. No, I don't think. No, I don't think Australia can talk about human rights, but either can. So anyway, that is, they're expecting Biden to talk. I sort of am thinking that the meeting was, it's something they've got to put to the Taliban, and the Taliban won't. There's got to be something in it for the Taliban for them to extend it. There would have to be. But anyway, I just thought it was a very interesting. Just seems to be a really big mess, and it's only going to get worse. And in my opinion, they need to get as many planes in there as they can. Fill them up, get them out. But I was reading another report that people were having, they were blocked off. Where was it? That people were blocked off and from not being able to get there, and people were missing their flights and all that sort of stuff. And it's really quite scary that was happening. So, and again, no one's talking about it. Why don't, I don't know, people don't talk about it because it's, Laura, I'm sure they'd have a price. I'm sure they'd have a price. I just think. But no one's talking about this. Because why? Because your videos get demonetized and you don't get money from them. These are the things we should be talking about. A lot of flights seem to be over. Oh no. I'll be able to break a window. Well, throw them at take them, go to the press conference tomorrow and throw them at Gladys. See if you can knock some sense into her. It's I don't know. We're supposed to Kabul airport should be running like Heathrow airport. As I said, if they were able to get the airport secured, or a path to the airport secured by all the armed forces, if they could work together and secure everything, like a whole pathway, and people could, anyway. Yeah, I told you, the video's gone orange because I'm talking about the stuff nobody wants to do. You can make her a nice chicken. I cannot believe that she's thinking about opening up. We'll get poppy seeds on standby to she's not a criminal lawyer, but we'll get her to help you. All right. This is a report that was this has just come out. All the Australians, we keep talking about Ruby Princess and what a farce that was. Well, there's been a report that's come out that's talked about it's actually the feds that messed it up. So here's another list of their failures. So failings by federal government border agency likely contributed to the deadly Ruby Princess COVID-19 disaster, a major report has found. The scathing audit has exposed further errors from when the virus-plagued ship returned to Sydney late last March and passengers were allowed to disembark. Weren't they friends of the politicians? Weren't they friends of wasn't there friends of the Prime Minister on that ship? On the Princess? We just keep coming back. Everything seems to be riddled around friends with the Prime Minister, or friends of somebody, or friends of some senior politician. So this, after the review catalogues, friends doing the same thing. After review catalogues, and the review catalogues years of problems inside the Commonwealth Department responsible for stopping diseases at the border. So the Commonwealth Inspector General Biosecurity conducted a review of the Ruby Princess disaster. Alex, that's right, Alex Hawke's in-laws. Yes, that's right. Was he the now? What was he? He was the immigrant. Was he the immigration? No, he is the immigration minister now, isn't he? Or he was? I don't know. They keep changing. Scomo changes the positions of his ministers like he changes his underwear. Its report found the Federal Agricultural Department made a number of mistakes, including not interviewing sick passengers. The report said it was perplexing the department was not more prepared after the Diamond Princess incident in Japan. Well, one thing that we know is that a certain state doesn't seem to look at what is happening. So it says several issues, yeah. The ABC has uncovered the 200-page probe from the independent Commonwealth watchdog that examined the role of the Agricultural Department. The Inspector General of Biosecurity report details how the officer who inspected the Ruby Princess did not follow protocols, including the critical error of not interviewing sick passengers. But the report makes clear the disaster followed years of missed opportunities for change, including Will says Scomo must have gotten that idea from Trump. His government was always, that's what he does. He changed. Oh, Osbel. Hello, Osbel. Finally, they've done nothing but bag the cruise industry, and they followed all processes. Yes, so it looks like it's the feds again. including a 2018 internal report of biosecurity for arriving ships that was largely not acted upon. Frankly, if the department had done what it agreed to do, then the chances of the Ruby Princess happening were significantly reduced, Inspector General Rob Delane told 7:30. 28 deaths and more than 600 coronavirus cases were later recorded among passengers and crew. The New South Wales Special Commissioner who investigated the Ruby Princess said this new report showed the tragic consequences might have been avoided if the federal department had performed better. Federal Agriculture Minister David Littleproud conceded his department could improve, but said it was not to blame. In essence, the Ruby Princess was a failing of New South Wales Health, Mr. Littleproud said. Oh, the feds blaming the states. Wow. The feds are blaming the states. The Commonwealth Agricultural Department is tasked with checking the arriving ships are not bringing major human disease to Australia. The officials also grant permission for passengers to disembark. Mr. Littleproud last year asked the Inspector General to examine matters related to the Ruby Princess, and the report was quietly released in April. Quietly. The watchdog detailed how protocols were not followed during the inspection of the Ruby Princess the morning it docked in Sydney Harbour. Sick travellers were supposed to be individually screened using a checklist, but this did not happen. If Agriculture had administered the traveller with illness checklists in the way intended, passenger disembarkation would have been properly managed and minimised the human health risk. This was a crucial error. The ship's master was not interviewed, nor were the vessel's medical logs inspected. If the acute respiratory disease log had been viewed on the morning of the 19th of March, it would have been noted that the log had not been updated since the 17th of March. That should have prompted contact with New South Wales Health. Agriculture officers need to contact state and territory health officials if they have questions about sick passengers or crew. New South Wales officials had deemed the Ruby Princess low risk the day before it arrived based on health information that had become out of date. If the most recent illness numbers had been brought to New South Wales Health attention, it may have changed its low risk rating. Last year's New South Wales Special Commission of Inquiry found mistakes by state health officials were the main cause of the catastrophe. Commissioner Brett Walker, now he's a SC, Senior Counsel, stands by the finding, but after analysing the new report, said if the Commonwealth system had performed better, it was quite likely the debacle could have been avoided. There must be a real chance that a sensible possibility that if the Commonwealth had done a better job on the Ruby Princess, that the state officers may not have made the mistakes they did. So, the report, so the findings found the state had mucked up. So now this new report says that the feds have mucked up, and it looks like the state mucked up because the feds didn't do their job, but they both mucked up. So retired Adelaide Hills couple Bruce and Diane McCullum were diagnosed with COVID-19 after travelling on the Ruby Princess. Mr. McCullum spent weeks in intensive care in the Royal Adelaide Hospital and is still suffering the after effects of the disease. I'm struggling a bit, about 50% of what I used to be strength-wise. She's noticed a major change in her husband. When he does work anywhere, he comes inside, sits in the chair, and is asleep within minutes. They took precautions during the trip, including spraying their room with disinfectant. I think that's what's very disappointing, that people in power didn't take due care as much as individuals did. Do you reckon there'll be a class action against the feds or the state? The report showed the agricultural officer sent aboard Ruby Princess upon its return was not senior and experienced. The watchdog found no record the officer was trained to perform the inspection. Notes from the inspection only mentioned a handful of gastro cases. No mention was made of the respiratory illnesses on board. So it looks like the state did mess up. There's a whole sequence of events that led to the department and its frontline officers not being ready as the nation needed to be. Inspector General Rob Delane told 7:30. Mr. Delane did not blame individual staff, but said a whole lot of deficiencies within the department over a long period had left officers nationwide not as equipped as they need to be. The report noted that the inspection protocols were routinely not followed in Sydney, and this should have been detected by the department. So the Inspector General's Ruby Princess report said it was perplexing the Agricultural Department was not more prepared after watching COVID spread aboard the Diamond Princess ship in Japan. Agriculture was too little too late. Seems to be a running theme here in being prepared to handle potential biosecurity issues for numerous cruise ships steaming into Australia ports. Soon after the Prime Minister's announcement that Australia's borders were closed. The report reveals the new national policy for disease outbreaks on cruise ships was under development through much of 2019, but was not finished before the pandemic. It is perplexing that this updated policy was not made available to agriculture before COVID-19. The department also did not complete an implementation program to accompany the new 2015 Biosecurity Act, leaving staff inadequately trained and supported. That's right. So Mr. Delane said his report makes clear, I thought the department was poorly prepared. Mr. Walker said the new report contained details not available to inquiry, particularly after the Inspector General's report. I'm much struck by the idea that if the Commonwealth system had been better, or if the goods parts of the system had been adhered to properly, then it is likely, I can't say more likely than not, it's quite likely that there would not have been the really dangerous slip-up that did occur leading to death. David Littleproud conceded his department could do better, but insists failings by New South Wales Health. Hello, Jean. So it says there needs to be stringent controls between state and federal governments in making sure that they collaborate and coordinate in getting the right outcomes. The Special Commission inquiry made 5 recommendations in August last year, including changes to the Federal Biosecurity Act. And surprise, surprise, these legislation changes have not been made. So August last year, what, over 12 months ago? Mr. Delane said many other improvements have been made. I'm dramatically more positive about the ability of the department to deal with these things today than I would have been this time last year. Really? They've not, there's been recommendations and they've done nothing about it? Jeez. Anyway. There you go. So it looks like the Ruby Princess debacle. Yeah. It looks like the Ruby Princess debacle was a combination of feds and state by the looks of it. Yeah. No, it was, they said agriculture, I think they said. I would have thought I would have thought it would, I thought it would have been Border Force. And then State Health. But whatever happened, we were caught with our pants down, essentially. Oh, all right. Thank you, Jean. Thank you. Very appreciated. Thank you. So that is the Ruby Princess debacle. Won't surprise me if there's not a class action. All right. Let's go. We're going to now get onto Katie Joy, because why not? I've actually really not followed lots. Cool. Thank you, Jean. Okay. Let's look at her Twitter, because the Twitter is leaving me. I have lots of questions. All right. So someone says first COVID deaths happened a lot earlier than we first known. So someone's written this report. I don't know how credible it is, but she says, I knew it. My son and I were super sick in January 2020, and we tested negative for everything. I will never forget the cough and the wheezing we experienced. Wheezing we experienced. It was so scary. My lungs have not been the same since. Now, I thought when she first came out with this that a whole group of us debunked it because we found all the videos she produced in January 2020. And she said, I have a few friends who are convinced they had it in 2020. Wow, even this was proven to be a lie. Katie, you were live streaming and on social media every single day that you claim you were sick. A quick look at your YouTube will prove it. Paulson, as someone who's had a confirmed case of COVID, showed antibodies through saliva and blood tests, gave plasma and suffer from numerous long-haul symptoms like permanent lung damage. F you and your survivor bias. You could use some KJ. The Fox, you must be desperate. See, one night away. One night away. Hello, Lady Crane. One night away, and you've missed KJ. Christy, I've been blocked on all platforms for telling her on Twitter to go out with her family and fun they're messing around. And it's fun. It says funny how it's always her and Von and never Toad. I'm sure it was around the end of 2019 at least. I went to hospital in Australia and got arts repeatedly if I'd been overseas for symptoms. Twin says, get the COVID antibodies test done. You can't go around spreading misinformation, but you've already told us. So what do you care? Send help. I know it's really if you get really desperate, the Fox, she did 3 videos on Duggars today. Oh, did Short Order Cook become a member? Oh, sorry, I missed all of that. Did she become a member? Sorry, I don't see all of that. Oh, thank you. Oh, anyway. I think Short Order Cook's in quarantine too, I think. Right. So anyway, so that was that one. But we checked all of her videos. There was a whole group of people that checked all of her videos. We could not find one single, like, she had no days off. If I would have thought that if she had COVID, there'd be a period of time that she was sick. Now, without going into specifics, my family could really use some good thoughts, energies, or prayers right now. Thank you. She's an atheist. I will keep you in my prayers. Heart Paulson, you are the queen of details. I know about your son's heart, brain, shunt, stomach, alleged ASD, his iPad preferences, what time he wakes in the morning, dinosaurs, birth weight, gestational age, his personal space, all from your mouth. I have no idea whether I don't even know whether she's spoken to the FBI. I really don't know. Allegedly, Unirock's spoken to the FBI. Why would the FBI want to talk to Unirock? If you're a small business owner, make sure you take out business liability and professional insurance. You can never know what can happen. Insurance can cover you for a variety of business-related issues, including legal issues that are arising from doing business. Just a tip. I've been a member for a while. Oh, okay. Cool. Maybe you did. Oh, man, why'd you tell them? There are tens of online dopes thinking they are financially ruining you, says this person. Now, I was asked the question to put to Poppy Seeds about defamation, about that. So it's Poppy Seeds described it as a bit like car insurance, that, you know, you're covered for certain things, but if you take a sledgehammer to your car and then try to get insurance for it, they're not likely to cover you. And it's the same it's likely to be the same with business insurance too, that they may not cover her for all of the defamation. If she's, oh, okay, I'll check her other one. Yeah. All right. I don't want to retweet her. I don't want to do anything. All right. The FBI is on the case, just so you know. I thought the FBI was on the case. Cool. Oh, yes. And then Unirock says, I know, negative exponents and I were already interviewed. Interesting how Salts and Emily are left out. And then someone says, or they don't discuss it. If I was interviewed, I wouldn't mention it on Twitter, each to their own. I think there's more important things going on in the world right now. Why the hell would the FBI speak about USIS? Go outside and touch some grass. This may be a shock to some of the derps out there, but they have a department specifically for this. Some are acting like you are working with homicidal trafficking. They even act concerned for your child, yet can't grasp this part of protecting your child. You look ridiculous. You look ridiculous wearing those necklaces. You don't wear them right. Stop trying to be trendy, you goofball. The police, FBI are understaffed and don't have enough funding. Leave them alone. Not everyone can be as trendy as you obviously are, going by your profile pic. You told her someone will pat you on the back for this award-winning disc. Whoever this person is their new Stan. Unless it's, negative exponents, Unirock and KJ. He just said, I know, negative exponents and I were already interviewed. Why? Why? Unless they wanted to see what he was growing. I don't know. What he was smoking. I don't know. I don't know why they would interview him. I don't know what he would have. Then she says, speaking to the FBI this afternoon. KJ, don't mind. I'm just fishing for attention. Pokey dokey, if you say so. Haven't you wasted enough taxpayers' dollars already? I think they have bigger things to be concerned about than a housewife that's constantly broadcasting her own business for the World Wide Web. I'm not looking to tangle in a Twitter beef with some seem to get off on, but I think this is making sense. I think this is making sense of confusion some have. She isn't a housewife. YouTube is her business. She has an LLC. She's the earner in her home. I was wondering why some replies are so odd. The FBI only talks to people about crimes, not stupid YouTube beef. Some peeps, especially those who live in closets, should be worried. Please mention Steve McRae harassment cult to them. You'll be doing the community a service. Oh, dear me. If only I had this much time to actually spend on Twitter. Josh Duggar blames Donald Trump for arrest. Wants case dismissed. Josh Duggar demands illegal photos be taken down, taken behind bars be thrown out. I'll be very interested to see what Emily's take on this, because Katie Joyce has sort of said they're rubbish. Poppy Seeds thought that she said that they weren't poorly written, but however, not knowing how the US law works, she doesn't know whether there's any merit in them. But one of the things KJ said was that they were poorly written, and that wasn't the sense that Poppy Seeds got. So then we've got, my job is to report. I'm a small business owner and have an LLC. I am not some housewife that just does YouTube for a hobby. Let's just shame the housewives, hey? So I'd kindly like you to take your mum shaming and shove it. It's 2021 and women have the right to work and raise a family. Yeah, but you've just mum shamed anybody that stays at home and look after the kids. Women have a right to stay at home and raise their family if they would like, and not to be shamed by some try-hard. Oops. Is there something wrong with being a housewife? She's not saying there's anything wrong with it. She's merely stating that people are mum-shaming her for working. There's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mum or a working mum. She's mum-shaming in response to mum-shaming. It did, didn't it? Yeah, but I wouldn't expect any less from the type of mother that she is. She doesn't value motherhood or homemaking. It's glaringly obvious. Why would anyone mum-shame you? Your son is clearly well taken care of. Yes, let's leave the good wife's guide where it belongs in the 1950s. I do do good keeping the kids from trying to kill each other. I wouldn't have survived in those times. My hubby says he didn't marry me for my homemaking skills. Oh, there's hidden replies. Look. Oh, yeah. So someone says, oh, look at this. She's mama shaming. No, shaming was in her statement, actually. She's standing up for herself in her own situation against criticism she receives. Parents may do homemaking work or career work, both as good as chooses to be. Do you not see how she says just a housewife? If you understand beforehand that she was criticized, that her business is merely a hobby and not a job, that is clearly understood and it isn't what you are construing it is. Actually, she says, I am not some housewife that just does YouTube for a hobby. She's defending herself against criticism she's received recently, not insulting you. Hello, Into the Wild Blue. Well, let me tell you, I'd be happy to be just a housewife with YouTube as a hobby and earning what she's earning. I'll take that. Anyway. So what do you reckon? I don't like how she shames stay-at-home parents. Okay. So, but she says, my job is to report. You don't report. Despicable. Josh Duggar may try to pin his crime on one of his brothers. How does she get that? Where does this come from, by the way? Now she's saying, it's super weird how both of you have the exact same attorney. This one is really bizarre. It's super weird how both of you have the exact same attorney. It's almost like me standing up for myself and protecting my family resulted in me getting sued by somebody else. But that's just my opinion. I've got no idea who she's talking about. Well, wait on. I've got no idea who she's talking about. So I keep wondering how Steve is funding the lawsuits and how he's paying taxes on income if others are paying the lawsuits. He hasn't filed them from what I understand. It was a hip pocket service, poor man's service. He has a year to file. That gives his inner circle a year to improve on fake screenshots they failed so badly the last time. It's weird how you talk to one person in tweets. It's like being on a crowded bus screaming in a phone. It's weird. One follower, cool. Supporting a professional victim, cool. You dedicate your life to following and bagging out someone you hate, cool. Someone's put free one. You're particularly vile coming after a child. We are in the KJ Truther community. We in the KJ Truther community adore that child. Gaslighting. You're abusing his mother and putting him at risk. I wish the law would catch up with the internet. Oh, like KJ abuses him by exposing every aspect of his life. You support that, love. I too wish and hope the internet will catch up with KJ on the webs. You and I must think alike. You have assessed this child. Yes. Are you a doctor to make claims about him? You have at least done the bare minimum, right? Great. It's not uncommon with complex medical children to have diagnosis change. Now you can stop harassing a child. She asks you to leave him alone. As soon as she stops receiving services for ASD, he's been diagnosed with ASD. You just said you'd let her words speak for her. She isn't the first and won't be the last that had a misdiagnosis and trouble accepting a new diagnosis. It doesn't seem very caring to want to rip services away from a child. But she said in her live the other day that the term autism got services. Anyway, it's so weird with all the interaction of two people making a plan to talk in DMs and one of them threatening that the other will outspend you in civil court. What do they call that again? Dearie me, that's right, extortion. Do you want to know what I feel well about? I'll tell you, the fact that Krusty has indeed touted herself as a women's advocate, but has yet to acknowledge the suffering of the countless Afghan women and children left in Afghanistan that will be arred and beaten by the Taliban. So much for that. KJ, you're an embarrassment for women and victims' rights. There's a goblin on the net who thinks a closet dweller is successful. It stands to reason the closet dweller thinks new money McCansion guy is a success. He's a joke in GA circles and he knows it. Now, I don't know who, only people I can think of that she could be talking about is Lewis Noble and Steve McRae, but I've got no idea. I have no idea who she could be talking to. What does everyone think? Who could it be? What do we think? Because I've got no idea. She says, I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but I'm confident he had nothing to do with Josh Stottinger getting arrested. I won't even allow Trump to take the fall for that. He actually created the additional task forces with the HLS, and that has been tracking and attempting to identify these large trafficking rings. Sadly, Biden ended the Talon task force, identifying thousands of illegal traffickers in our borders and crossing them. Well, I saw somebody on Twitter today say number of lawsuits KJ has 5, and I don't know where the 5s come from. Then she says, who could it be now? Who could it be now? Who is that knocking at my door? Is the process server with another lawsuit? I bet you she's one of those people that won't even answer a door. All right. For years, Duggar's fans have speculated that Jana Duggar runs family social media. Sources confirmed to me they hired a social media manager years ago. This person does all their posts. The source also states they allegedly follow people known to speak out against them. So she's saying that she's being followed by the Duggars. Why are all the comments being limited on Instagram? So she's sort of saying, the Duggars follow me. There's 2 with Swanson, Tuddy, Steve, and 2 more. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't know. Who can it be now? Oh, yeah. So this was her. She doesn't post. It's funny. She doesn't post as much stuff on her other one. So this is from August 23. This is from August 23. And then she put 20 hours ago. Oop, the FBI is on the case. Oop, here we go. Oop, here we go. I hope that includes Sleazy Fish and his crew. Too bad no one cares. Also, according to you, they've been on the case since January. That's my point. I meant to that. The FBI has better things to do than to hold KJ's hand. No one cares, right? You seem fairly obsessed, sassy. Investigations take time. A lot of people care and support Katie. You can smell the stench of troll coming off you a mile away. If you don't like something, then don't waste your time commenting. All it does is reflect badly on your character. Look at her profile. She spends all her time obsessing on Katie. You don't care. You don't care so much. You write to Katie nonstop just to keep telling her how obsessively you don't care. What? Anyway. Oh, you mean Todd? I know you mean Todd. I know you mean Todd. What's his face? But I was thinking, what? Todd Paulson's going to sue her? Oh dear me. Who can it be now? Oh, I've got that song in my head now. Who can it be now? Okay. It's just, I don't know what is going on with all of this. None of this makes any sense to me at all, to be honest with you. I just don't know. see if I can find. Yeah, I don't know. It's why would you put something out there like that to talk about the same lawyer and then leave for people to speculate? This was interesting. So Chesh, this is one of just a tip. Okay, Katie Joy, you're getting more than just our tip, all right? So this was her. Make sure you get professional liability insurance. Todd Chrisley says, LOL, glad to know there's coverage. Unfortunately, for those being claims, the policy wouldn't cover intentional torts. So she's on the hook for those damages personally. I concur. She's sort of on the hook for that. Maybe she won't call them and see what they cover. And then that's about where that stupid ain't covered. Too funny she'd actually think that. I thought insurance didn't cover defamation, slander lawsuits. What is without a legal counsel talking about? It's almost as like she makes stuff up. Todd Chrisley, I'm sure you've realised now that KJ isn't bright. She's a self-proclaimed journalist who can't spell. Not exactly hooked on phonics. Yet for some odd reason, she's smug and a bracket. I've never seen anyone so inherently unlikable. But again, her little money. I've seen some of her now. I was just watched her the other day. Oh, yes, sorry, Lady Crane. Yes, I did see that. Let me pull that up. Yes, I don't understand that either. That doesn't make sense. What is my handle? CWO Joanne XX is my handle on Twitter. Oh, no, I just told everybody who I am. Good luck coming to find me, because like oh yeah, so here, because I'm not really an IT person. Actually, for those of you that follow my cash stuffings, I've actually ordered some more cash envelopes because I'm actually going to start up a computer fund as well. So it says, thanks to everyone who alerted me about suspicious activity on YouTube yesterday. We are aware of videos being uploaded trying again to frame my husband and me for crimes we didn't commit by impersonating me in a fake account. We called the police and filed a report last night. Are these people making videos as though they are from you? Yes. Wow. Why did you block me? Getting too close to the truth. Will this ever stop? Are they still up? I'm a nosy person. I went to see, and as far as I could tell, I only found yours. How might I tell which ones are fake? And now I'm blocked. The police are not going to do a darn thing about someone creating a fake account. Katie, you are doing and saying the exact same things you did when you were sued by Tardy. Anything you can think of to deflect the real issue. When are these people going to be put into jail? This stuff is seriously getting old. Oh, thank you, Lady Crane. Lovely of you. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Seriously, it really is. You got no idea how much it's appreciated. I've been able to access the government's fund money for COVID as well, which has been amazing. So I'm very grateful for that as well. Because, yeah, I'm on leave without pay at the moment, so it's fine. See, I wouldn't do that. Well, I don't know why. I don't know how or why. Tell me how or why you would be spreading all of that. That's what I want to know. Tell me that. Why? Oh, my lights has gone off. Ooh, one of my lights has just gone off. So on that note, I actually have an early class in the morning. I'm going to head off. So thank you all for joining me tonight. Now, with my university cranking up towards the end of my year, I may not be able to stream every night. I'm going to do my best to stream, but I've got to also keep up with my university. YouTube does take a cut, Lady Crane. Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind anything. I'm grateful for anything. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to stream every night. There may be some nights where I can't because I've got university assignments. I'm down to 13 weeks left. Pretty scary, actually, when I think about all the stuff I've got to do. So as I said, I'm going to do my best, but I will definitely let you know. Keep an eye on my tab. Thank you. Yeah, please do. But yeah, I will definitely keep up with everything. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I will catch you again tomorrow. Oh, I'm also planning to do another Pearl and Gem live show. I'm probably going to do that on the weekend. And I've got some games to play where you can win lots of good stuff. So I'm just putting that together as well. So anyway, I'll catch you all later.